Welcome back to another video, and in today's video I'm going to be removing the pistons from the engine that is currently still in the van. So we'll be doing that, and the first thing I need to do is strip the whole top end of the engine down. So let's roll it. So it's been about 3 hours. The sun's now moved round and I'm in the shade, which is slightly depressing and a little bit cooler. I only like working in the sun, not gonna lie, but yeah, it's quite nice when the sun's out, especially in this lovely April that we're having, unlike April. Right, so I've removed all the injectors, well, the injector pipes, the alternator, that's all out, the vacuum pump, everything's sort of like free of the head now pretty much. I'm making sure that I put all those bolts into the cardboard just so I don't lose anything, and everything's referenced so I know where everything goes. I've drained all the oil now, so the engine's now completely dry. Here's all the components. Yeah, the exhaust clamps are off as well. Pretty much we're getting there. It's taken me about 3 hours, but we are getting there slowly. But you know, it's I don't want to rush ahead and bugger anything up. So what I need to do now is I need to get these. Need to get the pump belt off for the diesel pump. Need to get the belt off for the cam belt. Need to get the exhaust manifold and turbo off. I've taken the exhaust clamps off. Those exhaust clamps are off. I'm going to leave the glow plugs and the injectors in the cylinder head. There's no need to take them out. I've just got to make sure that when I put the cylinder head down onto the flat surface that, you know, I don't break the injector heads off or the glow plugs or whatever. So I've got to be careful when I take the cylinder head off. Right, so I'm going to get all this squared away, tidy up my work area, and then I'm going to carry back on again when the sun comes back round and it's nice and sunny. So I'll see you in a moment. Right, so we got the head off finally, and while the head's off, I'm just going to show you this quickly. But you can see cylinder 2, piston 2, no carbon build up on it at all. So that was the one, again, with the issues, wasn't firing. And I think that there is, yeah, it's like a diesel, bit oily diesel. Yeah. Oh well, so that's all the top end off. I've now got to just take the sump off. I have started taking a few bolts off the sump. We are getting there slowly. I'm just taking my time. I don't want to rush ahead. I think I've been out here, well, I've only been filming for 45 minutes. So it took me 45 minutes to get both belts off, the manifold off, and start messing around with the timing covers. You can see the bolt there. On this second sump that I've got, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all the bolts into the sump that I take off the van, so that I know that I put the right bolts back into the new engine in the right place, because I don't know if any of the bolts are different lengths or yeah, I just don't want to cause any damage. So I'm going to make sure I take the right ones out. And also, talking about making sure I put the right bolts in, the oil pickup pump, as I've been taking the bolts out for the timing belt inner case cover, that black case cover there, as I've been taking the bolts out, I've also been making a mark of where they go in order, so I know I'm putting the right bolts back into the right places in the right order as well. So just trying to make myself a little bit easier, make things easier for myself, sorry. But I've got to call it a time here again. I'll be back in a minute to carry on with the sump, but I've got to go sort my eye out. If you're unaware, at the weekend, last weekend, so 5 days ago, I had to go to the eye hospital. I can't remember what it was, but my eye was infected. They had to scrape some surface cells off my eye, and it's been very sore for a few days. So I haven't been getting on with anything. I've just pretty much 4 days just sat in my room doing nothing because I couldn't see. Everything was blurred and painful as well. But now I can crack on now, just coming out here a little bit at a time. I can't do a great deal because I've got to keep going off and putting eye drops in, and I don't want to get any dirt, oil on my hands and then into the eyes. So I've got to go through a full cleaning procedure of cleaning my hands, and it's long, but we're getting there. So when we come back in a minute, I am going to get this sump off. Happy days. And then we can get to the pistons. Cool beans. Right, well, I was hoping it was going to be an easy job getting this sump off, but there's a couple of these bolts just aren't budging. They're not coming off, and even though the Allen keys are tight fit in there, it's still somehow rounded. So I can't get in behind here. It's quite tough to get in behind where the CV boot is here, off the drive shaft. Almost impossible to get up in there. So 2 of them are also rounded off, and then there's 2 at the front that are rounded off, 1 on the side. No, 4 in total. I can't remember. It's an absolute pain. I went round just trying to crack them and loosen them all with the extension Allen key bolt that I bought from Heritage, because you need a long reach Allen key to get up there. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to whip this drive shaft out so I can get to them 2 and try and get those 2 out that are seized on that side or rounded off, and then a couple on this side here. Right, let's have a look and see how we get this drive shaft out. So I've put the steel wheels back on just temporarily. Makes it easier so I can access that centre bolt for the drive shaft going through the hub. So I'm going to loosen them off, and then I can start loosening everything off around to get the drive shafts out. To do the sump, I only need to take the right hand side, the one on the driver's side, but I need to get both sides off to change the engine anyway. So yeah, just need to loosen everything, and then we'll get it out. So I now need to loosen those CV bolts, and the easiest way of doing it is to lock the wheel off. A couple of wheel nuts in the hub, bit of bar, lock it off. And I can get in here with the M12 spline socket, because that's what they are, they're spline bolts. You can get in there, 6 of them. So get them all nice and loose. And the torsion bar needs to be slackened. The lower ball joint on the swinging arm there, that needs to be loosened, dropped off. I removed the shock as well to make it easier to get the old to get it all out. But yeah, just the bar in there, lock it off, undo it all. So I've got the drive shaft out eventually. As you can see, I removed the shock to make it a bit easier to get the drive shaft out. I've also removed the intermediate shaft as well that comes straight from the gearbox, so the whole thing's been removed, and that just gives so much more room. And now I can access these bolts that have rounded off, so that's going to make my life a little bit easier now I've removed the drive shaft. And there it is, the drive shaft, intermediate shaft as well. It comes straight out the gearbox, so that goes on there like that. What I'll do is I'll put those bolts back into the flange on the CV boot there, do them back up, and then I'll put that away for storage for a little while. Right, let's get on with removing the sump. one of the advantages of having a second engine and a second sump is I can put the bolts straight out of one sump straight into the other one, so I know exactly which ones go. Happy days. Right, there's well, they're all out bar two, but these are the ones that I had to miller off. Good old hammer and chisel, the old-fashioned way, how we used to do it down the docks. So yeah, hammer and chisel, got the 4 off that were rounded. There was one that was also a bit tight and stuck, but yeah, I got that one off without having to use hammer and chisel. Yeah, so I've just got these 2 here on the back that need to be removed. Hopefully they're not rounded off or seized in there. It's an absolute nightmare. But yeah, to get these ones, in order to access the 2 rear sump bolts, the crankshaft must be turned so that the cutout sections in the sump and flywheel are aligned. Use a spanner on the crankshaft sprocket bolt to do this. Well, that's what Haynes says anyway. Obviously with no belt on there, I don't have the bolt in there, but I will put the bolt back in and we'll turn the crank over and we'll get it all aligned, and we'll get those last 2 bolts out from the back of the sump. But I'll show you that now anyway, and I'll get them out. So let's have a quick look. Right, so that first one come out nice and easy. This second one, as you can see, it's absolute pig. It kept spinning. The Allen key, the 5mm Allen key that's in there, where it's a spline, you get a T35 on there, T30, sorry, Torx 30, and that was just spinning as well. So we then hammered in a 6mm Allen key, and that was really tight, and then we were swinging off a bar off it to try and undo it, and again all that done was just round that bolt. So we then went up to a 6.5mm Allen key, hammered that in there, and again it just rounded off the inside of that bolt. That bolt is proper seized in there, so there's no resorts. This is the last resort. And there we have it. I haven't filmed any of it because it's been an absolute pain. Got piston 5 out. The idea was to get the sump off. The piston is there. Now let's have a look at the removal of the sump. Yeah, the sump's still there, mate. We just cut some holes in it. Yeah, well, that nut up here, that bolt, the one up there, is all rounded off like, and yeah, it's just a dickhead, absolute dickhead. So we can't get that out. So we give up with that. So my mate Matt come round with Harry. Well, go on, my G. There's Matt running away. He's got a nice BMW. Yeah, so that's all sorted, and that's the pistons out. Right, well, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. We'll see you all soon. Safe.